It is going to be a Newcastle versus Liverpool League Cup final, and we'll be talking about how Newcastle prepare for that. But before all of that, we've got the FA Cup fourth round against Birmingham City. Can Newcastle maintain the mentality and get through? And also, we've got a couple 2 6-pointer games in between all of that. Let's find out if Newcastle can show their mettle in getting through these games right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right, all right, all right. How are you all guys doing? I do appreciate you guys, as always, this evening joining me. I hope you're all blessed. I know that I put up the thumbnail up for only like an hour before the actual show starts, but we've been doing this long enough now for you guys to know that we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Either way, I'm so glad that you guys are here. But look. Newcastle United are once again League Cup's finalists. And we talked about it. Obviously, we had the preview show, and and we're feeling nervous. A few of the guys, obviously, in the chat, all of us were feeling nervous, and but we made it. We made it. We made it. We made it. We made it to the final, but we haven't. Obviously, we also want to be able to actually win the tournament as well. So, guys, how do you feel about that? Let me know how you guys are feeling about that. Still trying to gather up my thoughts, so you guys can tell. Still trying to process it. Really, I just watched the Tottenham Liverpool game as well. On top of that, and I just thought I felt disappointed for Tottenham. But also quite grateful and fortunate for Eddie Howe, for the team, and just the difference in spirit and level and courage and having players fit and having a good manager and being able to overcome the obstacles in terms of getting into this, getting through to the final. We've beaten Arsenal twice. We've beaten Chelsea. We've beaten Nottingham Forest in our first. I saw a clip today reminding me that it was our first game was against Nottingham Forest. That's not easy. They're third in the league right now, flying. We're one of the few teams that have beaten Nottingham Forest twice this year. One of the few teams that beat Arsenal 3 times this year. We've got our revenge against Chelsea, obviously at St James's Park when we beat them, and we weren't the favourites in that. People were fancying them because they beat us in Stamford Bridge. So it's been like, even to get here, I'm not saying this is, we were here to win it, but I'm just saying that just appreciate and looking at Tottenham kind of, they went out of a whimper, but not us. We went out all guns blazing, and we showed the world, we showed the Premier League, we showed every team in the UK who Newcastle are, and I'm just so proud of them. It's not just about Arsenal that we beat. Obviously, like I said, it's all the other teams that I've mentioned. It's just been incredible. And then some people might not value League Cups, especially people who are used to winning trophies and stuff like that. But I feel like the teams that I've mentioned, Chelsea's, Arsenal's that we've beat, Nottingham Forest and stuff like that, I think the League Cup is probably tougher than some European competitions in my point of view. So I guess, look, it's a tremendous journey. We're going to review all this stuff on the show tonight in terms of the game against Arsenal. Obviously, we're going to also look to get a tactical breakdown for the Birmingham City from Birmingham City players themselves about how we're going to find out how they play and who they are as well. And if we got a little bit of time, we'll squeeze in a little bit of transfer news possibly, or kind of looking ahead in terms of May. I'm putting together a little project, a little list of how I'm going to get myself ready for the summer, as it is going to be a big summer. But while we're here, Aaron Kane, as always, one of our regulars are here. Aaron Kane, evening, Philip. Evening to you, sir. I hope you're well. Absolutely buzzing to make the final. Gonna be tough, though. against Liverpool. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just saw them play against Tottenham. Liverpool didn't really have to get out of second and third gear. I know that Tottenham have got tremendous injuries in their squad. And boy, we know from last year how hard it is to play against any team with injuries. So fair play to Tottenham. Look, Liverpool came down to St. James's Park, and finished 3-3. But we all know when that the referee blew the whistle when Isak and Willock were 2-1 versus a Liverpool defender, and that's how that game ended. And that's what's on my mind in terms of us playing against Liverpool. I don't think the task is enormous. We'll be underdogs for that game, but I think out of many teams in the Premier League, I think if there's one team that can stand up and do something and win the cup against the odds, is definitely Newcastle United. So yeah, just like you, Aaron, we was doing the match preview. Speaking of the match preview, let's do a little, obviously, match reaction. Let's get our man of the match out of the way before we go into a little tactical breakdown. Let's talk about the match itself, the game itself. Let me know what you guys thought. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe as always. Let me get this on. Right, so or is it on here? Yeah, it's on here. Right, so let me get the Arsenal thing on. What was your I mean, look, I was saying, like, a lot of us, were obviously nervous for this game. But look, first of all, the support was immense. I love it when I see the opposition shaking. Those Arsenal boys were visibly shaking. And not only that, from the crowd, from the noise, from everything that we were doing, and our players were pumped. And it was just an awesome display. But within all of that, who was you guys' man of the match? I mean, first of all, in terms of the breakdown for the game itself, can you guys see here? Yeah, you can. First of all, if you can see here, the momentum bar on the left side of my screen, obviously wearing green, at the top, Arsenal are in the blue. Now on the momentum bar, obviously Newcastle, Arsenal have the majority in terms of attacking momentum on the bar itself, but the goals obviously came from us. And I think, I went on a number of panels and stuff like that after the game, match reactions, and I understand the opposition people obviously, and we're kind of looking at it objectively. People saying that, and you'll see a few of the stats as well. I think we both shared a similar shots on target things as well, but obviously they had the majority, big chances created. I think we had 3, they had 2, but we converted ours. And they would always say that there's our front line essentially was a big difference. But I think people are also ignoring the fact that not just in this game, but in the previous games, our defense, we haven't conceded the goal playing Arsenal so far, which we played them 3 times this week. We haven't conceded the goal against them. Shaw, Botman, obviously, Eddie Howe came into the game essentially playing a 5-3-2, but with Hall joining the midfield, joining the attack. He was up and down that pitch all game, and he made a tremendous difference. Also, Shaw, I don't know if you guys were watching it. Shaw was marking Declan Rice. Shaw was joining the midfield with that. Obviously, with Botman being the extra man, Botman would hang back a little bit, but it was Shaw who was stepping up to mark Declan Rice and did it so well to the point where it led to the second goal. You guys remember for Gordon as well. Obviously, when we pressed them and Shaw won the ball from Declan Rice after Raya made the mistake of passing it to Declan while he was on the ball. And it was a phenomenal performance. Dubravka made a key save at the beginning of the game as well. where it could have really the momentum would have swung towards Arsenal as well. There was a bit of fortune, as there always is for any team that wins any titles and wins any cups. And Erdegaard obviously hitting the post, and literally 30 seconds later, the ball going the other way. And then Isak, obviously this time not offside, hitting the crossbar, which the ball bounced fortuitously to Jacob Murphy, who actually did a really, really, really good first time finish. People don't talk that. I haven't heard people talk about that enough. That was a good first time finish, and he had to make it first time before maybe the goalkeeper got back, but also before the defenders got on the line. It was a phenomenal finish in my opinion. And obviously that was really good. We finished off the half, which in terms of also Bruno, our midfield, Tonali absolutely harassed Erdegaard out the game. Bruno was winding up the Arsenal players as well, doing kick-ups and stuff like that, and making sure he was doing his best, holding off, just keeping the ball, shielding the ball, getting his body in the way, getting fouls essentially. And it just took the momentum, took the life from Arsenal. It was fantastic. It was really, really good to see that. And obviously, then there's our incredible strikers, Isak and Gordon and Murphy. They look like sharks. The way they were closing down the Arsenal defense. A lot of rival fans are commenting that they've never seen Saliba in particular, Gabriel as well, but Saliba in particular, that someone who's no bones about it. Saliba's one of the best defenders in the world, and so is Gabriel. And what we did is what our forwards did to them, what Isak did to them, Gordon, Murphy. It absolutely shook them up. The runs they were making, or either they were dropping deep, going to the channels, being clever in their physical encounters. The ball over the top, it just absolutely shook up Arsenal. And it was clearly, it's just a great game plan from us. It's really, really good to see. Almost reminded me of what Bournemouth did to us, but we did to Arsenal, but in a slightly different way. So look, again, really intensive game. We were the deserved victors in the end. We both had, like I said, it was a close game. They had 11 shots. No, we had 11 shots. They had 10 shots. Who's the Blues? Who's the Greens in here? Is it us? I forget. We're in the green. Yeah, so there was about very close on shots, on the number of shots each as well. Big chances created. Really, really, really good game. How many saves did our goalkeeper have to make? Okay, so our keeper made three saves, something like that. We upped our tackles, obviously. Our duels, we won out on the duels, aerial duels as well. The intensity really increased, even with the dribbling. I mean, it says 43% to them and 36% to us. But if you look on the thing, they had 6 out of 14 dribbles. We had 5 out of 14 dribbles. And I mentioned that because that was really low, in particular in our previous game against Fulham, for instance. So all-round performance was really good. It was really, really good from us. But who was your man of the match? I personally, where is it? I always like to go to the individual stats. While we look at some individual stats, let me know who was your man. Some people say Lewis Hall. Some people obviously saying Isak, who had a phenomenal game. Botman was imperious. Tonali, absolutely brilliant from him as well. Let's get a bit of a summary. Let's see what some of the individual stats. Let's get from an attacking point of view. For instance, all of our front three obviously had shots on target. Jacob, Anthony, and Alexander. Dribble attempts, 6 from Gordon, 2 were successful, 3 from Isak, 1 was successful. Also, they hit the woodwork. Anthony Gordon had a big chance missed. I don't know if you're talking about the one in the second half as well. So a lot of good work there from our forwards. Uh, yeah, so good work from our forwards there as well. Defensively, Sven Botman with 15 defensive actions. Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier. This is why phenomenal. Really captain's performance. I know he wasn't a captain on the night, but a leader's performance. The the skullduggery, the winding up that he was given to the Arsenal players, his just sense of positioning, him keeping the team calm, his passing, him always being in the right place at the right time. He had Trossard on lock. It was it was an immense performance from him. 14 defensive actions from him, 8 clearances, 2 blocks, 1 interception, 3 tackles. He was only dribbled past twice in the whole 90th minute. Absolutely phenomenal performance from him. So obviously Sven Botman, we talked about, nobody dribbled past him. Tackles, 2 interceptions, blocks, clearances, phenomenal. Dan Burn, again, also been phenomenal. 12 defensive actions from him. Lewis Hall, 7 defensive actions from him and 2 clearances, 2 interceptions. So being in the right place at the right time, making tackles, 3 tackles from him as well. Absolutely phenomenal from him, and the work he does in terms of getting up the pitch as well, really good. Anthony Gordon, even our forwards, Anthony Gordon, as always, the amount of times he would chase down the ball, supporting Lewis Hall, was absolutely brilliant from him. He made 7 defensive actions whilst also doing the offensive stuff. So 7 defensive actions, 2 of them clearances, 1 of them was a block. I remember that one. 1 interception, 2 tackles. He was only dribbled past once, and he's leading from the front. Impeccable defensive performances from our team. Again, with the passing, who had the most touches? Who did the team really kind of? Who was really involved in the game from a possession point of view? Kieran Trippier. He had 50 touches on the ball. The whole team didn't, obviously, we were playing Arsenal. Arsenal had the majority of the ball, but from so the overall kind of touches on the ball from our team was a bit lower than it usually is. But Kieran Trippier, 50 touches the ball, 64% accurate passes. I think because I would say that he had a number of long balls as well. He had 5 long balls. He tried as well, crosses as well. So he was asked probably to be a lot more direct as well. At times the team we still need to fix up a little bit on the sloppiness as well. It was better than it was against Fulham. But again, it was Kieran Trippier, and obviously on the other side, on the left back side, Lewis Hall, very similar to him, 62% accurate passes, 2 key passes from him, 2 key passes from Gordon as well. That's obviously passes that led to shots as well. 2 crosses from Lewis Hall, 7 long balls from Lewis Hall, 2 of them that were successful. I think obviously he was a supply and create for Gordon in particular as well, doing a good job there. Sven Botman, and this is why Sven Botman was being captain ice for the last couple of games as well, was for this game. He was that third man in the back of a free defensive free. Well, it was 5 in the back, but in terms of like centre backs, he was part of a free. Him, Burn, and Shaw, and obviously Kieran Trippier and Hall acting as wingbacks. Would you call them wingbacks, guys? As well, but it was Sven Botman, especially when we're kind of trying to play out the back. Sven Botman had the 41 touches, 67% pass rate again from him. He had 3 long balls, and it was difficult. Again, Arsenal did the okay in terms of okay-ish in terms of dealing with some of our long balls, but when they weren't okay, that's when that's the parts essentially when they weren't able to clear it. that's when we were very devastated, and they couldn't stop us as well. Tonali got himself on the ball. Martin Dubravka, obviously, he's obviously been kept behind, away from Al Shabab. He didn't get that transfer, and he's paying off for us. We're doing really, really well. Absolutely phenomenal. Good to see you guys in the comment section there as well. Just figuring out. We're just let me know who was your what did you guys think of the game? Who was your man of the match? Do let me know. We're just going through the list at the moment, just going through a bit of stats here, just seeing individual performances, what people are doing. Accurate passes. The most key passes: Lewis Hall, Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon is doing this one touch thing a lot. If you guys notice, the pass he made to Tonali against Southampton, the pass he made to Isak before he could hit the crossbar as well. I love it. It's really, really good. Like his decision making with the ball, like he knows when to dribble, he knows when to do the one touch passes, he knows when to hit the channels or to go central, and he loves playing. Like, it's just so clear he loves playing central. And I have it in my mind that we're more of a 4-4-2 side, like not a total, like it's and I can almost see us in the future. I remember, I can't remember if someone said it in the comments that why are we always looking for left wing forwards or left wing or left wingers? I just think we're gonna just start playing with two at the front, and we need another left. We need another winger. I think Gordon and Isak are just gonna play together, and then obviously if we get another striker, they're looking for another striker, Jonathan David, for instance. You'll have that kind of rotation going on. We'll probably have to play two at the front. That'll be really exciting. But yeah, like Anthony Gordon, that's what he's just doing great stuff at the front. Him there with Lewis Hall as well, with the key passes. Dan Burn with a key pass. Fabian Shaw, Alexander Isak, Sancho Tonali. Good work from we were just really, really devastating from the offensive point of view. Crosses, not too many crosses, but good ones from Lewis Hall, obviously 2-on-2. The most successful long balls came from Dubravka. He did 22. Obviously, he's kicking the ball out, and 5 of them hit their target. And this, like I said, this is why Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell fought so hard to keep Dubravka at the club. It's because of his ability on the ball, his exceptional distribution, and it worked out for us. So, guys, before I give my man of the match, let me see what you guys are saying at the moment. What's your thoughts? Adrian Pickett, good to see you, sir. Hope you are blessed. Yep, Trips rolled back the years last night. He was phenomenal, and I don't know if you guys saw the report today, where I think, as we know, Galatasaray came in for Trippier in the January window, kind of last minute. I'm seeing figures of 5 or 6 million being offered for him, and the only reason the sale essentially didn't go through was Eddie Howe flat out refused it. Now the Turkish league Turkish transfer window, I think, is still open until the 11th or 12th of February. So maybe this is a story that doesn't necessarily go away. But Eddie Howe proved, if it is true that Eddie Howe refused the transfer, you can see why. And he did the same thing last year when Bayern Munich came in. He again refused their offer, even though it would, again, help us from a financial point of view. But from that game point of view, if you don't have a Kieran Trippier, there's a reason why we were so calm, we were so composed. Arsenal, who are typically very effective from their dead ball, from their set pieces, crosses, or any kind of set pieces in and around our area, we defended them so well. Yes, we've got 3 big guys at the front, but we've got the little man Kieran Trippier there as well, and he made a number of clearances from crosses as well. He was just immense, man. And by the way, I just realized where our dark arts came from. It was Kieran Trippier. I should have known that, because it's not until he came back then I realized that you saw that influence throughout the team, the nastiness return, the edge, the fight. And then when we knew how to slow the game down. I mean, he's so important for that. I think we're kind of talking about that a little bit, for instance, in the Fulham game and the other games where, look, why don't we just slow the game down anymore? Like, why don't we do any of the dark arts anymore? You need people, and Eddie Howe did say it's not from him. Like, it is people it is personnel in the team that are able to produce that and have that experience. And I don't know why I didn't really. Maybe I kind of suspect it would be Kieran Trippier coming from Atletico, but I can have a lot more conviction in saying that it's people like Kieran Trippier. He was absolutely phenomenal for us there, and I think yeah, Meta Football. I'll get to saying that, but Turkish window opens until the 11th of February. Nice one, thank you, Meta Football. Good to see you as well, sir. I hope you are blessed. Aaron Kane. Everyone was terrific to a man yesterday. Yes, when it's this difficult to give a man of the match, you know the team performed well. Trippier, though, deserves credit. Thought he was our best players. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. His experience and leadership and Simeone tactics helped give us the mental edge. And that's exactly it. And I don't know how long we're able to keep on hold of Trippier. For instance, Meta Football made it confirmed that the Turkish transfer window is open until the 11th of February. So Trippier could still leave. I hope he doesn't, because he just showed just how important he is. Especially in us seeing out this last 15 games in the Premier League, plus the League Cup final. He probably played Trippier. You know, if he's fit and he's ready, he probably play Trippier. We've got to keep him, and he's got to want to stay. He's got to, you know, he's 34, and if there's a way to see out your career is to break Newcastle United's trophy drought. That's going out on a high after winning the La Liga and the career that he's had. Yeah. So yeah, Aaron Kane, if you got Trippier as your man of the match. Meta Football TV, salutations, sir. Good evening to you. Hope you are blessed. I'm back in NUFC for the final. You deserve it, in my opinion. Decent season, and I appreciate you for that, Meta Football. I do really appreciate you for that. A few people have been saying that, and I feel like we're doing it for all the teams that don't get to win trophies on the regular, shall I say? And I guess from my point of view as a Newcastle fan, I just feel like we're going up against the cartel. I'll just be honest. You know, whenever we say that, people say, you know, tin foil hats, but you know, Newcastle fans who we've been fighting the Premier League just for the takeover. It took 2 years for our takeover to take place. Now we know, for instance, from the Man City case, there was active work from teams within the Premier League of setting up rules or whatnot that will stunt our growth. And yeah, even just breaking the cycle of and I think it's happening this season with Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, you know, firmly in the top 6, top 7 positions, and one of the candidates to go to the Champions League. You know, Chelsea are who are typically there fighting for their lives. Man United are nowhere near it. Tottenham are nowhere near it. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I feel like we're part of that. So, yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you, sir. So that's why we're getting the back in. Turkish window, yes, you mentioned that. Thank you for that, Meta Football. And for you, Meta Football, Trippier could still go to Benin. As it's open until the 16th. Benin? Where's Benin? Is that Nigeria? I don't know. You let me know. Adrian Pickett is having a laugh about something. Share the joke. Right, so who's my man of the match? Man, I thought I had my mind set, but like, it's so difficult to tell because there's just too many people to mention. And I feel like if I mention the one person, then I'll be in my mind thinking, yeah, but there's other people, and stuff like that. And there's different reasons really for them. Who should I say? Who was my man of the match? This is a difficult one, guys. This is a difficult one. Because there's just too many people. There's too many people, guys. I can't figure out who I'm going to have as my man of the match. It's between, for me, it's between Isak, Gordon, Bruno, and Botman and Lewis Hall. It's just like half the squad, really. I'll go for Isak. I'll go for Alexander Isak. Um, he's showing to be. He's like. I think two things. People keep on saying that Alexander Isak is the difference maker for Newcastle United. He's the reason why we're contending for Champions League, and there's truth in that. But what? Because individually, he's such a good player, a complete player. Um, he can header, he can shoot left, right, he can drop in deep, he can carry the ball, he can dribble. He's exceptional at dribbling. His striking ability is absolutely phenomenal. But I think at the same time, what Isak represents is the best of Newcastle United as a whole. Because the relationship he has with Jacob Murphy, the relationship he has with Gordon, both Isak needs a Gordon. The way they hunted down Saliba and Gabriel, you can't do that in a team where Isak is just the only guy that's doing that. He needs a Gordon to do that. He needs a Jacob Murphy to supply him with the creativity and kind of support him. And I think he represents the best of what Newcastle are when people think of Newcastle. And he adds that flair, he adds that class to an aggressive, an intense, a physical side, a technical side now, increasingly technical side. And it's just getting better and better. And in this game, it's the second time. It's the second time that, like I said, Saliba, Gabriel, who are absolutely phenomenal, exceptional defenders. Everyone knows that. He took them all on. He frightened the life out of them. And some of the stuff that he was doing was exceptional. And I wish that offside goal stood. When I saw that go in, guys, I saw his boot lift before he hit the ball, but I didn't see the ball until I saw the net shaking. I haven't seen that since Alan Shearer. I haven't seen that ball striking ability since Alan Shearer. I think even Shearer would say that. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he gave us that mental edge. He was part of that gave us that mental edge by really scaring the life out of Arsenal defenders, who are usually so confident. Sometimes Arsenal just leave the two of them to defend, but they couldn't do that this time. Skelly had to come back and defend and stay where he was. I forgot who their right back was. Yeah, so I'll give it to Isak. I thought he was phenomenal, but I can see cases for Trippier, I can see cases for Botman, for Lewis Hall, for all those guys. So let me read a few of your comments, and we'll do a tactical breakdown for the Birmingham City game. Benin is an African country. Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking of okay, yeah. Between Togo and Nigeria. Yes, it is. I should know that actually. So they got the transfer market still open there. He might go there. Why not? Adrian Pickett, narrow it down. No, yeah, I did manage to narrow it down. Isak, let me know who yours is, Adrian. Jordy Z, good to see you, sir. Good evening and God bless. I hope you are having a great evening. Thank you for always being here. Evening, mate, evening to you, sir. After watching that game, I can't believe I was hoping for time. Yeah, yeah. It was always going to be Liverpool. It was always going to be a Liverpool final. It was always going to be a Liverpool final. And look, this isn't gonna. I don't know. It's going to sound how it's going to sound, but I don't mean it to sound in any way. Essentially, I wouldn't have it any other way. Whether it was Tottenham, whether it's Liverpool, my mindset is not necessarily. I want us to win the cup. Obviously, I want us to win trophies, but my mindset is how is it just watching this team grow and develop to become an elite club, an elite team, and we don't get to choose who our opponents are. We just got to play them and win. Whether it's Liverpool now in the League Cup, whether it's Real Madrid in the Champions League Cup final. But it's these steps now that we take. We learned from the previous cup final 2 years ago now, playing Man United. We're coming into this cup final against Liverpool. So, like I said to you guys, I don't expect no more people writing, it's been 69 years, 70 years, and putting it on computer screens and saying, we're going to break the drought and all of this. We know that. Let's talk about it after we win the trophy. We've got to act like we belong. We know what we're going to be doing now. No more poems, players writing poems about what it means. We know what it means. Let's go and get the job done. And what a more perfect way to get it done against the current best team in the Premier League, probably one of the best, if not the best team in Europe and in the world right now, Liverpool. We've already beaten Nottingham Forest in the first round of this of the League Cup, who are third in the league currently. We've beaten Chelsea. We've beaten Arsenal now from 2 legs. Beaten Brentford, who are a decent side, and beaten Liverpool. And like I was saying earlier in the show, there's some European Cup competitions who are, there'll be some teams who win the Europa League who haven't faced tougher opponents than we have. And to be able to win that game, which I think we will against Liverpool in the final, God willing, I think I'm just thinking of the medium to short to longer term, the players in the club knowing, okay, this is now a cup winning team. This is a trophy winning team. We know what it takes to win the trophy because we've actually done it, and we've done it against the best teams and the best team in the league. So there's no one can tell us energy drink trophy or all that nonsense when we've played the teams that we've played. No one can tell us that we had an easy path to the title. And the team will know it for themselves, and they'll know what it takes. So, in a way, I'm glad this is Liverpool. I wouldn't have it any other way, and I think we can. I think we can beat them. I believe that we can beat them. I believe we're ready. That first loss in the final to Man United was a preparation for this journey now. For where we're going now, and we know what it's going to take. And so, yeah, man, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. But I know what you mean, Jordy Z. Meta football, Adrian Pickett can't narrow it down any more than that. It's true. Adrian Pickett, Isak is going into the best striker into the world label. Yeah, I think people are doing that. And when I say this, I think he's incredible. I don't think he's the best striker in the world. I think Haaland is, because we'll know how, because Haaland has done it in more high pressured situations, in my opinion, obviously chasing league titles, winning cups and stuff like that. I have no doubt. And when I say, I feel like it's almost a formality what I'm trying to say. I want Isak to go through that same journey. I want him, for instance, to score a hat-trick in that League Cup final against Liverpool and win it for us 3-2. I want him to stay obviously the season for us, and I want him to take us, even we're still in the FA Cup, by the way, take us to the FA Cup final and win it for us. And I want him to help us to qualify for the Champions League, help us to continue to be the difference maker consistently. He's doing it now for the second year, doing it now for another 3-4 years, and it's just we don't have to put that it's just evident now. Nobody has to say, who can I think of at the moment that's just is that guy, is that player. Vinicius Jr. Nobody has to say he's world class. We all know that. It's just evident. He's just, how many winning goals does he have to score in Champions League to show you that he's that guy? Mbappe, Rodri. It's just what it is. I think at the moment people are putting it down to that because his individual, his strengths appear very much world-class abilities, and he's certainly one of the most complete strikers. But yeah, and he shouldn't be scared of that. We shouldn't be afraid of that. We should embrace it. and just take it on, And I hope also, and this is probably a message for myself as it is for any fans, is I know that, especially for instance in this game, people continuously linking him to other clubs and all this other stuff, and we're kind of always reacting to it. We've got to begin to act like we belong. We've got to act now like we're Newcastle United. We've got to understand that Isak isn't going to be the only great player that's going to come to the club, and I've got to mature as well in terms of how I react to these things as well. And I'm so, yeah, man, we're gonna get players that other clubs are jealous of. That's just what it is. So how we handle that is what's important at the end of the day as well. So, but the commentary was like from Gary Neville, wasn't there was a line that he was talking about? Oh, can you imagine him playing in the opposition's shirt, being in Arsenal? I'm like, commentate on the game. Like, so can you imagine? Why don't you say? Can you imagine Declan Rice playing for Newcastle? I think he'll look good in our midfield. I think I think he's better off playing next to Bruno and Tonali, in my opinion, Declan Rice. But so it's that kind of stuff that's like just continuous. But at the same time, it's part of our journey. Where when we're winning trophies and stuff like that, people are going to be saying, "Oh, if it wasn't for the takeover, this, da 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 da," they're going to forget the struggles that Newcastle came from, absolute pits, before we got to where we are now. How we had the Premier League against us, the media against us, the Big Six against us, even with the money that came along with it. Like the PSR still made us act like as if we're having to spend like a mid-table club by having to try and attract world-class players, and we developed those players through Eddie Howe as well. You remember that viral clip of a Newcastle fan on TalkSport saying, the commentators were saying to him, "Who do you want? Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho?" And the guy said Eddie Howe, and they laughed their absolute socks off. They said, "Who? The guy that got Bournemouth relegated? Out of all the managers, you got the richest owners in the world, and you want Eddie Howe to be your manager?" The guy said, "Yeah." You know, the guy said, "Yeah." It's not so funny now, is it? It's not so funny now. The guy that rescued Newcastle from relegation, got us to the Champions League, hopefully gets to the Champions League again, has got us now to 2 cup finals, has developed players, Joe Linton, Lewis Hall, Livramento, Anthony Gordon. The list just goes on. It's not so funny now, is it? That he's the guy. But people will forget that when Newcastle are winning titles and winning trophies. I won't forget that. So, yeah, I don't know why I went on to that thing, but the journey is just incredible. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch. Adrian Pickett meant football. I meant that for Philip. Oh, yeah, he did. Geordie Z, Isak's left foot shot for Murphy's goal was insane. Honestly, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, with or without us, he's going all the way to the top. Hopefully with us. Hopefully with us. Hopefully with us. But I know what you're saying, Geordie Z. Aaron Kane, I expect changes a different 11. Oh, against. Yeah. Target, Osola, Miley, Willock, Pope. I'm thinking a fully rotated 11. I think so. I think possibly. I think though and I'll show it. I'll go to it's a nice. I'm going to go back to this comment. I'm going to start this comment because it's a nice segue. I'm going to read the final comments and go to the tactics board and stuff like that. It's a good comment. Adrian Pickett trips for me, yeah, as man of the match, but could have been any of them. I agree. Even saying it's like I feel like I'm taking away from people like Trippier. Met football. Take care, Philip, and all next time. God bless you, sir. Always good to say. I thought I'd say good night. Buenas noches, sir. Buenas noches. Good night. Have a good one, sir. Adrian Pickett well said. It's time to let our feet. It's time to let our feet write the poetry. Yeah, I love that sentence. That's a great line. That is a great line. Consistent Mag of C. Good to see you, sir. Good evening to you, and I hope you are doing well. I'm going to go back to this comment from Adrian Pickett because it's a great, sorry, not Adrian Pickett, Aaron Kane, because it's a great segue, great segue to now to the to us playing Birmingham City in the FA Cup. You guys would have noticed from the thumbnail. Does Newcastle have the hunger for more? And this is part of our journey to becoming that elite club. Great. It's absolutely phenomenal that we've got into our second League Cup final on an incredible night at St. James's Park. But are we going to do what Arsenal did after they themselves 3 or 4 days before had an incredible night against Man City where they won 5-1. They kept that team humble. They kept Haaland humble. They played it all on the stadiums. It was an incredible night, and people were praising them and saying, "Hey, they could really win the title." And then they lost that mental edge. They got too caught up in the hype, in my opinion. They headed up north, where it became a little bit more colder. The reality struck that, hey, we're playing a team that actually has a midfield, right? And the boisterous crowd, and it dawned on them that, hey, if you're going to be an elite club, these are, you have to be able to handle these big pressure games and these emotions continuously. Now, I know people might say on the face of it, Birmingham City isn't like playing Man City or playing Arsenal, but for me, it is the same in terms of consistency. Elite teams is consistency. Can Newcastle show consistency? And this leads me to Aaron Kane's point, which is I expect the changes of 11. I was going to, what I meant when he was saying target, sort of and I was thinking to myself, I remember the Bromley game. If you guys remember, I think we were 1-0 down in that first half. And Eddie Howe had made the number of changes in that game, and we were a bit flat. I'm wondering if we keep the spine of our team. And I'm wondering if there's a number of games that are coming up as well but focus on this one. How is the team going to respond? Are we going to get giddy and happy because we're in the final and, oh, we can take a rest now? Are their bellies full, or are they hungry for more? I'm so keen to see that. I want to see how we perform in this game, essentially. And so I'm going to show my tactics board whilst on Aaron Kane's point that obviously you'll rotate the whole squad. I was thinking of keeping the spine of this. So I'm going to show my tactics board. I'm not going to go into the tactics just yet because, like I said, Birmingham City players did that themselves. They showed us their tactics themselves. You'd be like, what do you mean? I'm going to show you guys in a moment. So essentially, and to be fair, I haven't quite made up my mind fully what I want the starting 11 to be. But I've put Pope in there. I've kept Dan Burn and Shaw only because I saw the news today. I was going to put Botman, but I saw the news today from Craig Hope that, look, the good news is that, Botman doesn't have any serious concerns over his knee, but Eddie Howe is taking precautions and it's unlikely that he's going to be playing against Birmingham. So that would mean that Burn would have to stay around. There is a chance that he plays Kraft instead of Shaw. But why I don't think he plays Kraft is because with Dan Burn and Kraft, there's a couple of reasons. One is Birmingham City are a high pressing team, especially being in League One. I didn't realize they were in League One, that they got relegated from the Championship. But they're like what we were in the Championship. Like, they're the top team in League One as well, in really good form. But they're a really high pressing team, really work hard. And between Burn and Kraft, I want it. I'm not looking at Birmingham City as a League One team. I'm looking at Birmingham City as a Championship team who happen to be in League One. So therefore, we need Shaw. We need someone to be able to play it out the back for us. I put Tino Livramento right back, but as I'm even talking to you guys, I wonder if Eddie Howe would be tempted to keep Trippier. Would be tempted to keep Trippier for momentum and, again, somebody to, if he's fit, especially if he's fit and he's ready to play, I'm thinking of keeping Trippier. And Target then will take over Lewis Hall at left back, which will be okay. I think it would be okay for now to rest him. In my midfield, I've kept Bruno. Bruno did come on in the second half against Bromley. But again, I'm trying to keep some consistency with the spine. With Dubravka gone, Shaw and Burn staying, and Bruno would have that ability to play out from the back against a high pressing, very intense Birmingham City side. I think that would be important. It could be Bruno or Tonali. I can see an argument for either. And I've kept Lewis, and I've got Lewis Miley and Joe Willock. I think what would often happen is if we do play at the back, Bruno might collect the ball and then obviously pass it, and Lewis when they're going up front, obviously Bruno will take up more advanced position. Lewis Miley might hang back a little bit, possibly. Um, but otherwise, it'll be either Bruno or Tonali, in my opinion. And obviously, we know that Joe Linton's injured for the next 2 to 4 weeks. But again, Miley and Willock join in the eights possibly as well, eights and sixes, with Osola, Wilson, and Gordon, if he's fit. The reason, obviously, for Gordon is because Barnes is not fit, and I can't think of anybody else who would play. I think Isak will definitely be wrapped up in cotton wool. Um, Eddie Howe might decide to play a little bit differently. He might include Longstaff instead and have Willock instead of Gordon on that left playing. So Longstaff might come in and play here. Willock might come in for Gordon. But again, I just think for consistency, he needs a little bit more consistency. He wants to keep the rhythm going. I, for one thing, that Newcastle are quite good at playing 3 to 4 days in between games. I think when they got out of that habit and playing after the night when we won 9 games in a row, most of those games were playing between 3 to 4 days, and then we had that week break and it kind of left us a little bit. I think Howe wants to keep that, would want to keep that rhythm going. He want to stick in the FA Cup. You know, you're not playing prime Liverpool right now. We are playing Birmingham City. It's an opportunity to get to the 5th round, you know, and to keep the embers going in terms of keeping the motivation going. League Cup final. Okay, and we're still in the FA Cup as well, and we're in the hunt for the Champions League, keeping that incentive going. So, in my opinion, it makes sense to keep, especially if they're fit and they're ready, keeping those players. So I've kept Shaw, I've kept Byrne, I've kept Bruno, I've kept Gordon. 4 players essentially from that game against Arsenal. Wilson will probably play in the first half and be taken off. Maybe Isak comes on in the second half, reluctantly so, or Gordon takes up a central position and Willock goes on the left, for instance, as well when Longstaff comes on. But yeah, or Sol obviously takes up a central position, the other way around as well. So yeah, that'll be my team. But let me know what you guys think. Would be interesting to hear. I'm gonna find this video. There's a video, and this is I'm gonna read the comments in a moment. But my usual, I usually have to do a bit of research about how a team plays and their tactics and everything else. But very helpfully, Birmingham City. This is a video from Birmingham City. This is from Football Park. This is an exclusive football breakdown. It says from Jack Ward sits down with Birmingham City's Christoph Kia, who's Birmingham City's current centre back, and Kazim Richards to dissect the secrets behind Birmingham's successful League One campaign. So they're breaking down the tactics of how they play. Thank you very much, Birmingham City. This was 2 weeks ago, I think it was as well. Is it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It was published 2 weeks ago. Whether they filmed this 2 weeks ago is another thing. Maybe they filmed it a month ago, 2 months ago. I don't know. But it seems fairly new. And they give us a little bit of a breakdown of how they play on the ball, how they play off the ball. This is why I got some of the information about them being a high pressing team, them wanting to play out the back, and essentially dominating the ball. So I'm gonna play a few things that they've said. Let me make sure, because I did write down a few key points and try and reflect them on they even show how they do their formation and everything. It was really nice of them to do this. I know that obviously we've got our own scouting team and everything else and don't necessarily need this video, but if they wanted to make our job any easier, they did it in this game, in this video, in my opinion. So let me see. So playing out the back with the ball. So without the ball, yeah. So without this, let's do it without the ball. How do Birmingham City play without the ball? We'll get onto that. Where is it? On minute 6:30. So before I get that, let me read a few of your comments. And again, this is their player. I can't imagine that. Can you imagine Dan Burns sitting there with, I don't know, uh, Keith Downey and breaking down? I know people can see that and it's visible, but making a whole show of it, I don't think Eddie Howe would ever sanction anything like that. But yeah, let me just read a few of your comments. Let me see what you guys think. Our Adrian Pickett chips for me, but could have been any of the agree. Did I read those already? Take care, Philip. Yeah, it did. Yeah, well said. It's time. Yeah. Consistent mag. Yeah. Consistent mag FC. Those few minutes when we pressed them was so satisfying to watch. Yes, I agree. My midfield three against Birmingham City is Willock, Tonali, and Miley. And you know what? That's a good midfield. That's a very active midfield. Yeah. You can if it goes well in the first half, you can swap them over. It's very. Do you know what? I'll agree with you, Constance the Mag. I think we can do that. I think you're right. I think you might be right. I'll go with that. Because it's got the mobility, it's got the recovery, it's got the athleticism. It's not to say Bruno doesn't have athleticism, but Tonali has a bit more than Bruno in and around them as well. And it's got enough technical ability, I think, against a League One side, Championship team, but in the league in one side as well. So I agree with you. I'm going to change that around. Aaron also says, think a midfield of... Okay, so Aaron says a midfield of Longstaff, Miley and Willock is surely enough to beat Birmingham. I feel like Sean Longstaff's falling out of favour. I can't remember what game was it. Did he start Bromley? Guys, correct me. Did he start against Bromley? I feel like because it's been Miley that's been coming on rather than Longstaff. Typically, it's been Longstaff that comes on in games, but it's typically Miley that comes on instead of him. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I just feel like he's out of favour. He's out of favour a little bit. And it's Miley's time, essentially. And there's been too many reports on trying to sell Longstaff, in my opinion. Consistent Mag FC, Aaron, wasn't that the same three against Bromley? Okay, so it was the first. Okay. Or you're trying to find out. Let's see if that was the first, because that first three didn't do very well. Or it was a bit flat. Adrian Pickett, another start for Trips might be a bit demand. It might be. He hasn't played for a while. Maybe he's got lots of energy. But I definitely take that point on board. Aaron Kaempf, at Consistent Mag FC, ideally don't want to see Bruno or Tonali play this game. Give the others a chance, and if needed, bring a Bruno on after. Yeah, possibly. Let me see if you guys change your mind a little bit on Birmingham. I think they sound like a decent outfit. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Okay, so this is them describing. This is their captain. It's not their captain. It's their centre back. I don't know if it's their captain, Kelleher. Is it Kelleher? I can't pronounce the name very well. Sorry, but this is him describing how they play off the ball and what they do. So let's let him speak for himself. Let's see what he says.
To start the attack straight away.
Let's hear that.
You play in a high block.
Yeah, we would go up
Oh, don't tell me. Why can't I hear that?
and try and press from the start. There's not many teams in this league that actually do then try and play out, but some do. So we need to be switched on if they come up with something creative.
Sorry, let me get that on again. I couldn't hear that. I think you guys heard it, but I didn't.
So you play in a high block.
Yeah, we would go up and try and...
So they're playing the higher block. He's doing very nicely there, pointing it out for us.
Press from the start. There's not many teams in this league that actually do then try and play out.
So yeah, because it's playing in League One, they can press this high. They'll probably adapt. They will probably adapt for Newcastle. They'll know what it. They might take up a more low block situation, or they might test themselves.
But some do. So we need to be switched on if they come up with something creative.
So yeah, so we need to be creative. So yeah,
But usually, if we do go quite high, they just kick it to a big man here.
Yeah.
We need to be strong in first and second balls. But yeah, don't get me wrong. There is phases in the game where we do need to sit in, stay together, stay close, reset, and then press again. But yeah, I think pressing is one of our strengths as a team.
so pressing is one of our strengths. That's the key thing that we do. And in League One, they can do that. Like I said, they're pretty much they're a championship team in League One, and
Actually,
that's
do then
so
try and
they
play.
so they kind of they get to press up high. The most they have to worry about is, you know, people trying to hit the ball over the top. How did he show it here? Yeah, people trying to hit off the ball over the top and try and get through the gaps here. I think they still might do this against us because I feel like the Bromley game, the Bromley didn't really sit back as much, but I think Birmingham take their chances. What I'm only, and I just thought about this while I was talking to you guys, was I imagine that Birmingham City very much want to get out of the championship. So do they risk? How much do they commit to this game? How much do they care about the FA Cup? They might have to care about it because they're playing at home and they're playing against obviously a Premier League side. So there might be a situation where they have to they might have to play the first team players in it, even though they'll be reluctant to do that. So yeah, like he said, they play in the league. They play in League Cup in the League One. So they press pretty high up. I don't know how good their press is. I don't know these players individually, but as you guys saw on the board there, oh, you can hear it. Thank goodness. Thanks to that, Adrian. I don't know, how quick they are, how big and tall and physical they are. I can see the captain. He looks, looks massive. Kiera or Clara. Can't see his name. Is there an L and an I? I think it's Clara. So I imagine, obviously, they kind of, like he said, they leave a back three there. Well, let me see what he shows. Yeah, so they have their back three. Their guys push up. They kind of do a 3-4-3, or they have the two pivots with Gardner and Hickman, and I think it's a gentleman called Leonard as well. I imagine their wing backs in K. Anderson. I don't know if they would call them wing backs or full backs. They will try to push up as well and lead on the other side or support in the transition. So at every point, really. So either they'll come back and defend like this, or they'll join up in the midfield and try and provide superior numbers in the midfield here. Obviously, 4 versus 3 type of situations. They might try to tuck in and allow their number 8s to push in like that, or they stick on the outlines like this, try and pin our fullbacks back like this, and allow their attacking 8s in Dykes, for instance, and Stansfield to push up like that, and isolate our fullbacks, and they rotate like this. This will be, I imagine this is what they'll try to do when we're on the ball type of thing. But again, everyone's got a different type of press. So I would imagine, as always, people will try to press in a way where Fabian Schär has the ball. Someone like Iwata will try to cut off this channel here to Burn, for instance, or they'll try to make sure that Schär's options are as limited as possible, and they'll try to make us hit it long. I don't know how good B. Davis and Cochrane are and Clara. Do they have pace or not? Can they handle the pace of Osola, Wilson, Gordon? Gordon might even play through them. I don't know how fit Wilson is. That's another thing. Maybe even Willock. Can they? These guys might. How good is their pace? Do they back themselves to do it? I can imagine Wilson for us, his physicality, just at least pinning one of the centre backs back. Maybe Davis. He doesn't have to run in beyond, but just keep him busy. Whilst Gordon and Osola might stay on the outside like this. And so if a long ball does come through, and there's these. Let me show you what I mean. So if a long ball does come through from Shah, you've got these type of spaces, especially with the fullbacks pushing up. You've got these type of spaces being created that you then have Gordon. Obviously, Clara wouldn't want to be in these situations with Gordon. He wouldn't want to have to follow Gordon like these and leave these type of spaces. It allows Willock, again, with his athleticism, to push up. And Lewis, the same thing with Osola going into these type of spaces, maybe forcing back or Cochrane, and then Lewis Miley also pushing up. You don't want to, and then obviously their centre back having to be busy with Wilson, for instance. They don't want to have to be in these type of positions. So, but at the same time, I don't know how paced they are, and then obviously forcing back their centre backs as well, and then creating these type of, or getting the two pivots in Hickman and Lennon. They have to follow back a Lewis Miley and a Willock as well. So then that essentially blows up their whole situation of trying to press in the first place. But I just don't know how good they are at pressing. I've never watched Birmingham City. I'm just following what Clara is saying. They said, hey, we like to really press up high. That's a good thing, and it's been working for them. Their form is really, really good. The number I forgot to show, actually. I typically show the overall form of the team, but they're currently number one. They've won like 6 games out of 7. So I'll be interested to see just how good their press is. If their press isn't that good and Shah has an opportunity to either spray the ball long to the likes of to the likes of Osola, to the likes of Gordon, or if the gaps are created, hit it off to Tonali, then Leonard or Hickman, then have a choice to make. Do we press up, or how do we press in a way where he doesn't get the ball off to Miley? These type of questions that they're going to have to ask. What if Trippier tucks in as well? So do they change the way they play? Essentially, are they going to be high pressing the whole game, or are they going to do a low block? I think they do what Clara says they do. They'll be pressing up. They're playing at home. They're going to try and cause an upset. They would have seen the Bromley game and they would have thought Newcastle aren't going to play the full team. They're going to make a number of changes. Maybe we can catch them cold. Let's try and do that. So let's see it. So I can, this is why I think Shah plays. It's either Shah or Botman, but I think we need the ball playing centre back to be able to play. It can't be Burn and Kraft. We need someone that's going to be able to play from out the back. Otherwise, if you got Shah, both Kraft and Burn, Tonali or Bruno would continuously have to drop in and try and bring out the ball themselves. But the thing is, we lose a man in midfield, and that will force Miley back. That when you want him to be further up, that will force Willock back when you want them to be further up, and we end out. That has an effect. So on everybody else. So that's why I think Shah stays. That's why I think either Shah or Botman play, or either Tonali or Bruno play. I think that's going to be the key part as well. Obviously, Trippier is going to be available as well to pick up the ball. He's going to be vital. It could be that he might slot in the middle instead of Tonali, for instance, and play at the back. But that's not a typical thing to do. So that's why I think either Shah, Tonali, or Bruno, or all of them play. In my opinion as well. So let me continue on. Let me see what this is. This is Birmingham City without the ball. So it's going to be intense from the beginning. That crowd is going to be up for it. So he also mentions how they like to play out the back. So let me bring it back to here. Here we go. Again, they've been very nice in showing this to us. Let me see if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can see that.
Let's say it was against a 2.
Yeah, go on. So if we go when you do the red tonight,
if we go.
So this is them playing from out the back, from left to right. Obviously, Birmingham are represented in the blue colours, and essentially, Richards is saying, okay, so what happens when the opposition press against you? You guys can see here. This is literally them from the kickoff. They've got the 2 centre backs that go out wide into in the penalty box, followed by the two pivot players there with their wing backs. Literally, he's put them right by the byline. So this is how they try to keep the opposition pinned by having these guys out wide. Very similar to their wingers as well. He's got them right by the byline, and obviously the centre forward in the middle. I don't know where the centre forward. I can only assume he's a big guy because I don't see it working with a short guy. Not a short guy, but not. I can only assume there's going to be a guy who's physically good with the attacking midfield in the middle. So they try to keep that superiority in the middle. Those wing backs allow them when the wing backs push up, it gives them that midfield superiority as well. But it only works. It works in League One against opposition. How is this going to work how will it work against the Premier League side? Especially if but Newcastle have to be bang on it. You can't be Premier League side by name, but then turn up and you're playing a League One side, which is important. We don't do. And this comes as part of being an elite team.
They're pressing you with the two right,
Yeah.
and they're matching you up now in midfield. Yeah, and then their back line. Let's say they got a plus. Let's say they got a +1, so they've gone 3. So they're set up like this now.
So that's a very good setup. What Richards is saying. What Richards is saying is, if you guys can see right in the middle, what if the opposition are matching you up in different man for man, not in every area. So, for instance, you can see that he hasn't pushed them up so much where they go up against their fullbacks, but they outnumber them or they match them in the center of the park, forcing Birmingham City out wide to their flank. So the only guys that are really, really available are their two wing backs. But then if that's the case, then it makes it predictable to if that forces Birmingham City players to have to kick the ball out to their wing backs. That means it makes it predictable. The opposition will know where they're going to pass, making the press a lot more simpler. So Richards is saying, look, okay, what happens when the opposition floods the central areas?
Got a plus. Let's say they got a +1, so they've gone 3. So they're set up like this now.
As you just said, that's two ways of pressing us. You either leave one spare at the back, where there has to be space somewhere else. If they don't go man for man, then you usually have the keeper, which...
So they use their keeper. They've got a ball-playing keeper. They've got a ball-playing keeper. So what he's saying is, when opposition teams go man for man, our goalkeeper becomes the player, is the person who gets the ball out to us. So Newcastle will have a number of options. Either press the keeper and see just how good he is, or press in the way where just let the keeper have the ball, but you stay where you are. Sometimes Newcastle, in my opinion, have been guilty of, sometimes I think just pressing the mid block, go man for man. You don't have to rush down the keeper. Just force him to kick it out, and then obviously try and make sure you get the first or second ball. But because I think you can, rather than rushing the keeper and leaving space at the back. So what he's saying is, the goalkeeper becomes our outfield player.
Whoever plays in our case is very good on the ball, if it's Bailey or Ryan. So you've got the keeper as a spare man in it anyway. If they don't match us up man for man, then you usually have one there, a fullback left, the right one free, or the midfielder. So it's just a way of trying to find the spare man, trying to see where the free man is. So
thank you very much. So hey, you either match us man for man, and then we use our goalkeeper as the spare man and we look for spaces on the pitch, or you leave someone back, you leave a third man back, like you got it here, you got the 3 defenders at the back, and there'll be a space somewhere else, and then we use our fullback to bring it out. You tell me. So that's a great question that he asks. What do you guys think? What do you think Newcastle should do? So he's saying this. Let me first say hello to the guys that are in the comments there. Vator Games, thank you, sir, for coming on. Great show. Great show, great performance yesterday. Congrats and another final. Appreciate you, Vator Games. Always here. Always, yeah, it was a fantastic performance. Again, we show bottle. We're through to the final, and hopefully we'll take it home. Hopefully we'll start. We'll hit it off. I think when after the Man City get you guys take over, it's after you guys your first cup was your first trophy the League Cup. I think it might have been the League Cup. You correct me, Vator, but that's what set off the legacy that you guys have got now. So hopefully we can have a bit of that. In regards to the tactics, though, obviously this is what they're going to do. This is how they're going to play out the back. So, but again, he's talking about League One opposition. I don't. They will have to adapt to us, but how much can they adapt is the question. Because sometimes you don't want to adapt so much where you change, where you confuse your own team essentially. So let me share this instead. But let's go back to the tactics board. This is them playing out from the back. So they're saying you're either gonna match us man for man, or let me see how they do it. Or you keep one man back and then you leave space for us in other areas of the pitch. Again, this is where their wing backs, I don't know if they'll call them wing backs or not, are going to be vital for how they play. Iwata, and I'm going to probably mix up some of these players as well, but I'm trying to get the main thing is to try and get the positions right. So 2-2. Yeah, so they must have some really good ball playing centre backs, including him, I'm assuming, to be able to play like this. Davis, Stanfield, Leonard there. What else have you got here? 3 at the front, 1 in the middle. 3 at the front, 1 in the middle. Iwata, Dykes, Anderson. Okay. So Newcastle will have an option in terms of how they press. Where's Wilson? I've lost Wilson. There he is. It'd be so interesting. If it's the intense Newcastle that we know, it's going to be very intriguing how they approach this game. Newcastle, I think if Newcastle bring their intensity, it's not going to be, I don't know how it'll be very difficult for them to, they would have, but then again, I don't know how good their back line is. That's difficult for me to understand. I don't know how good, their front line is. Do they have pace? Do they have athleticism? That's what's going to be key. It's going to be these kind of individual battles. So it's exactly what he's saying. Do you match us up? If you match us up, then if we match them up like this, essentially, does Wilson press the goalkeeper here? If he doesn't press the goalkeeper, or if he does press the goalkeeper, where's the ball? Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can. So if he does press the goalkeeper, it leaves, for instance, Anderson open, whilst Tonali is busy marking Stansfield, Miley's busy marking Davis, and Byrne is having to mark, obviously, Iwota. If he stays back, for instance, then it's just left to the keeper. So it'd be interesting to see how Newcastle approach this way. I imagine that we're going to do what Richard said. I think we block them in the central areas, and we stay a little bit more like this, and we make sure that so Wilson's here, Sola's here. It doesn't. It's like half man for man, and half just making sure that they can't get it to who they want to, essentially. Let me show. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So it's forcing them out wide. Now he can try and go for these balls here, for instance, the goalkeeper, but he has to hit it long. I don't know what sort of pace Dykes has. Maybe Trippier, but I think Shaw. I think maybe Burn can even press up, for instance. Tonali can be here. Wilson can be like this. It'd be interesting. Target stays back. Obviously, Pope is super keeper. This ball has to be so perfect for them to get. But I think Trippier is so good at being able to know whether to go forward or to go back as well. So do we force them long, or do we hang back a little bit and let them play out? So, for instance, Trippier stays a little bit back. Miley and Osola are here. So Wilson's here. Tonali blocks off here. Let me see. Maybe Miley acts like this. Maybe even Burn pushes up. Shaw stays at, we keep it free in the back like this. Burn pushes up on Anderson. So they have to play out wide. So the central areas are blocked off, either through Tonali and Gordon like here. Willock likewise. So they have to, we force them into areas where they have to make almost like the $1 million ball. Goalkeeper to Layard, goalkeeper to Dykes, for instance, or force them in a way where we know where we're going to press them. Maybe we do leave a little bit, maybe at the beginning, Dan Burn and Trippier out the back like this. So they can't go long and leave their wide man open, but then leave Willock and Target and Tonali to be able to block off the flanks when the ball goes out wide and make it difficult for them to come out. How good are Birmingham City on the ball? That'll be the interesting thing for me to know as well. But again, the key thing is going to be Newcastle having the mentality to bring the intensity, not laying on not kind of being too drunk of the night of when we got to the final, and kind of having that focus, having that intensity going into this game. I'll leave it in the Birmingham City in attack with the ball. So let me get the last minute here where he describes the profile of their attackers. So we get a little bit of information about how he describes the attackers. That's going to make a difference about how we press. I don't know. I can't remember what he says. Do their attackers have pace or not? I can't remember what he says. So this is on the 13th minute. Oh no. Birmingham. Let's see how they attack. How they attack first.
10 or 11 man.
You guys can see that. Yeah, you can see that.
Behind the ball.
You're averaging the.
So they're usually playing against people, and I guess this is why I didn't really.
When the opposition,
Sorry, guys. This is why I wasn't going to include this part, because Birmingham City are used to teams going in the low block against them. So the majority of the time, they're always facing low block. So he's talking about low block.
That must be difficult to break down too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, especially when they do put a lot of men behind the ball. It is a case of us trying to find a gap, but staying patient and don't try and rush things because the game's 90 minutes long. And as I said before, like, you don't need to win in the first 10 minutes or the first 15 minutes. So yeah, for us, it's just a case of doing the stuff we work on in training and trying to find the gaps. Because as I said, there is space somewhere on the pitch. It's just a case of us.
So look, they're very aggressive. You can see that they're very aggressive, and they can mean that they leave 3 men at the back. Are they going to leave 3 men at the back if Gordon's playing, or Sola's playing, Wilson's playing, for instance? They're not going to do that if Isak's playing, that's for sure. I don't think Isak will play.
And yeah, as you just say, we do have to.
But then again, how much of your they have to be? You don't want to change too much. So they're used to having the majority of the ball. They're used to their fullbacks pressing way up high against the opposition to try and create those overloads. I think they'll try to do that. I think they'll try to do all of that. And if Newcastle don't bring their intensity, if we don't have the elite mindset that we need to have, we could really get punished in this game. But at the same time, if we bring it, we can really, really hurt Birmingham City, because they're going to leave gaps in the back as well. So that's how they attack. Let's see finally the profile of their attackers, and then we'll get you guys to get some score predictions.
Good are these players, and how good are they at this? How difficult are they to defend?
So how good are you? Tell us a bit about your attackers. Let me know how good they are.
We've got a lot of quality, especially on that top end of the pitch, and that's for sure. I think they're all different. You've got Jay in there, you've got Alfie May in there, you've got Juki in there. That's been around a very long time, and Juki probably replicates your Championship League One striker in that case. That is really strong in the air, really physical.
So who's Duke? Is he on here? Is he talking about Dykes? Is it pronounced Jukes? Maybe him. So physical players.
He's got it all in there. Just really good for us as well to adapt and try and take that to a match day. But what's really impressive is that these boys train how they play. So no one really takes liberties in training or...
So they're a hard-working team. They are a hard-working team. They're a good team, Birmingham City. And let me just show you. I was usually show this at the beginning, but show their form as well. So look, guys, they are a ball-playing team. They're a high-pressing team. They're a championship team playing in League One, so they're used to having the ball the majority of the time, having to break down teams. They've been doing that very successfully so far, because as you guys will see from here, where are you? This is Birmingham City. The last 5 games, they won 4 out of 5. They're pretty much, a lot of teams are on the back foot against them. How do they match up against other teams? I imagine pretty well. This is their metric so far in League One. They're the number one for FOTMOB rating they're number one in terms of FOTMOB ratings. They're number one for everything: offensive stats, defensive stats. They're second for goals per match, and they pretty much score 2 goals per every game. They're first again for goals conceded, so the least goals conceded. They got the most possession, number 1. So Clara's talking about, look, we get about 66% of the ball. They are 4 for clean sheets. They're only 2 off Stevenage, for instance, and I think they beat Stevenage in their last game as well, or in the last 5 games. They're 6th for expected goals, 8th for shots on target. I imagine, like he said, because they have to do the low block a lot of the time, but they're doing it okay. Big chances they create, about 4. They're 5th in the league for that. Big chances missed. They're 6th in the league for that. Touches in opposition box, they're 4th in the league for that. So yeah, they're a team that has lots of possession. They're high pressing. They're intense. They're having to come up against low blocks all the time. I don't get too much profile on their defenders, but he described Dukes or Dykes as being like a typical championship forward who's very physical, who's aggressive essentially. Possession 1 in the final third. They're 2nd. So they've been doing pretty well with Leyton Orient as well. So they're 2nd in the league for that, or joint 1st in the league for possession 1 possession 1 in the final third. I don't think Eddie Howe takes that for granted. So I think their goalkeeper only has to make 2 saves a match, but possession 1 in the final third. So I think that's why he keeps either Shaw. I think Eddie Howe keeps Shaw, or he keeps Shaw or Botman as centre backs to play out from the back, in my opinion. And either Tonali or Bruno to be able to bring the ball out as well, just to keep that rhythm going. So you got people also that can play the ball out from the back, out of Birmingham's press, or to be able to hit the ball long to hopefully our pacey runners at the front as well. So that's why I think he keeps at least 4 or 5 of our players that play against Arsenal, so long as they're fit and so long as they're ready. So guys, I'm going to conclude the show and give you my predictions. There's just one comment here from Consistent Mag FC. Wilson starts, then put on a Solar. Okay, so Wilson starts, then put on a Solar. Okay. So then who would play? So would you have it a 4-4? So would you have 3 attackers, or So would you have Wilson and Gordon, or Wilson? Who would be your front three essentially? Let me know. I think we're going to have pace up front. I think if Birmingham City are going to press us, which they will press us, we've got to be able to try and create gaps in that between their defense and their midfield. And by doing, we need players with pace to do that. And that's why I think Osola stays, and either Gordon or Willock play in that left wing, left midfield role as well. I think Wilson will be good to start because he can just continue, pin their centre back as well. So it'll be an interesting game. But no matter what tactics Eddie Howe plays, they have to bring the intensity. Okay, so let me see it. Consistent Mags FC come back. So you'd have Gordon, Wilson, and Murphy. Oh, that's a good lineup. That's a good lineup. That's a good lineup. I think I've got Osola because I think he'd want to rest Murphy. He'd want to rest Murphy, or at least be able to bring him on in the second half. But there's a strong possibility. That's a good lineup. I see there is a strong possibility they could start with that. So, guys, send me in your predictions. For me, I'm going to say that Newcastle bring their A game. Birmingham City bring their A game. If that's what happens, I think and then I feel like I'm going in blind a little bit because I got a little bit of a take on how Birmingham play, but because I haven't seen them play, obviously I got Clara, the centre back, telling us how they play, give us a little bit of a. I don't know their players individually as well. What can we do? 2-0 Newcastle. I'm going to give it a 2-0 Newcastle. I'm going to give a goal to Wilson. No, Usola and Gordon. Or Wilson and Gordon. Wilson and Gordon are going to be my scorers, so long as they start, of course. So Wilson and Gordon, 2-0 to Newcastle. That is my prediction. Got one prediction here from Aaron Kainth. Thinking a comfortable 3-1 win. I would absolutely love that. So, guys, we've come to the conclusion of the show. We did a quick review we did a decent review for the incredible Arsenal victory that took us to the League Cup final. I gave my man of the match to Alexander Isak. But there's just so many players that could have been there. Some of you guys had Trippier. Some of you guys had, other players as well. Botman, Byrne, Kieran, Tonali. You could even say Dubravka for the sake. I know he had maybe one save to make, but he kept us in the game. Was absolutely phenomenal. And we did the tactical breakdown for the Birmingham game using the clip from Birmingham City player himself, Clara, and Richards as well, who helped us by giving their breakdown of how Birmingham City play. My only thing is, I wish I kind of knew their players a little bit individually, so I'll know where the key kind of battles will be. But we've given our score prediction. My score prediction for the game is 2-0 to Newcastle. And we've got a couple here for free. We've got one from Aaron Kainth here for 3-1. How away the lads? Hopefully we'll see Newcastle go through to the 5th round, and that we will remain in 2 competitions. Obviously, the third competition being the Premier League. But let's keep that consistency going. That's the main thing I want to see from the team. But guys, thank you for joining me this evening. It was like literally last minute I put the thumbnail up and everything else, but you guys, we still had good numbers. We still had you guys comments. We had Vitor Games from Man City, a Man City fan swinging by as well. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe. He's a fantastic content creator as well, and a real gentleman as well. So guys, make sure you have a great evening, and as always, folks, God bless.